Hi there. Um, I didn't know that I would be touching this subject today, but it happened that I was asked, what do I think, or what happened that we saw these events in the United Kingdom. And I just, I said, I'll look, I'll check. I wasn't really listening to the news this day. In the 23rd, I didn't feel very well. I wasn't into all this, but the call came the day after from two places. So I said, okay, I'll look at it. And then because I was totally shocked, I decided to share it with you, what I saw. And this was an interesting thing because yesterday morning I had a session here, and my client asked me if human design can predict things the way astrology does. And I don't understand almost anything in astrology, and I also not too interested in other systems. I'm very into human design, and I like it that it's a new knowledge and it's not based on the seven-centered consciousness. So I'm not into it, but I know that sometimes astrologers can predict stuff. But I told this lady that we can see trends and energies, and we look at cycle charts and transit charts and blah blah. But I didn't really understand until I checked this transit what really can be seen. I mean, it is absolutely shocking for me. So yes, the cross of planning is shattering, and this is part of it. But let's look at the details. Just read a few lines in the transit of the 23rd of June, and oh my God, what can be seen? So first of all, we see it was a fifth day line. So this is heresy, and the gate of extreme was in the sun. So it's extreme heresy, collective extreme heresy in the quarter of civilization. The form is breaking down, and let's see. So the 15th gate in the fifth line, sensitivity. The ability to sense when otherwise balanced behavior must be adjusted to meet the requirement of changing environment. The power to grow or not. Now, this is really amazing. While this is connected and defined and connected to the fifth gate, yes, Saturn sits there in the first line, perseverance. If the captain must, he goes down with the ship. The power to maintain one's own rhythms or not. Amazing, just amazing to see this. And of course, the earth grounds this day in the line of the heretic, direct and overt challenge to norms. Yes, this is the projection, this is the general, this is the practicality, and of course the heresy, and of course being burned at the stake no matter what. At the end, this has to be also mentioned, the reputation and everything. And of course, this whole definition lights up the gate of endings, the 42nd gate, that Uranus is there. So this cycle, this long cycle of many years of debate and argument within the United Kingdom if to stay there or not to stay there. Okay, the end had come in a heretical way. And then we see the nodes, and the nodes are also in the fifth line, and these are the mental doubt and confusion that drives us crazy. And this is really amazing to look, the gate of confusion in the fifth line, promise, in detriment, a tendency in trying to justify the struggle by focusing exclusively on the failure of the old order that cannot demonstrate the quality of the new. Focusing on the past confusions about values and relationships. Oh my God. And then the gate of doubt, affirmation. So we see the understanding that doubts are necessary and of value. And of course, the other side of it, doubting one's very process despite understanding. This is really, really interesting to look how it all comes together and forms the picture of the decision of the English people. And then we see Mercury was it changed its place in the middle of the day. So the first half of the day, it was still in the 35th gate, in the 6th line. Rectification, this is the gate of progress, of change. And this is Mercury. Wow, rectification, the energy to correct. Progressive change that results from corrections, or correction which brings change through severity and even destruction, and will always meet resistance. No words. And then in the middle of the day, Mercury moved to the 45th gate, canvassing. It's all about the tribal leadership, canvassing, yeah? The ability to promote and develop gathering together through the education of the uncommitted. The material direction lies in education. And the whole thing is about the material direction. And the detriment, an overzealousness that turns canvassing into proselytization and tends to alienate rather than gather support. The drive for material that leads to aggressive education. So this is really, really strong to look at it, and just the line said it all. And there is one more line that I looked at, of course, the gate of breakthrough, the 43rd gate. Again, in the 5th line, look how many 5th lines. Progression, the step-by-step adaptation to relationships which hinder breakthrough through practical actions which will not jeopardize eventual success. The gift of knowing when a unique insight can be shared effectively with others. And the detriment, a tendency to concentrate on harmonizing relationships that tends to strengthen the position of restrictive forces rather than benefiting breakthrough, and over-reliance on the receptivity of others that turns harmony into the conditioner of individual expression. So what we can see here is that it is all written there. And if we're not anchored in our design, we just follow the herd. We are just being programmed every minute. And this program is very strong and we can't avoid it. The only thing that can separate us from the herd is just being anchored in our strategy and authority. So if something comes to us personally according to our type, then we have our decision-making process to navigate us. Because if not, we are just one of the herd, another sheep. Unbelievable. And then this story continues. The logic process continues, and now after the decision has been made, there is a lot of assessment and reevaluation that has to happen, and the transits, the program gives humanity this chance. We have these two fuels of the logic circuitry. We have two gates that belong to the right angle cross of service, and the cross of service is a very unique cross because all four gates of it are from the logical circuitry, and it's a very, very logical cross and very judgmental. The channel of judgment is part of this cross, and I personally have a very interesting relationship with this channel. When we get to one of these gates, we will get deeper into it. But now let's look at it. The gate of inaction, keeping still, temporary and self-imposed inaction for the benefit of assessment. So yes, this logical collective decision that has been made about the future of the United Kingdom, and it touches and affects deeply the future of the European Union, needs to be assessed. Amazing. And also the fuel for the string of taste, the judgment, yes, to criticize, to see what doesn't work. Gate 58, the joyous. So these two fuels are very important, because these are the only energies that fuel, that pressure and fuel the logic circuitry, the logic process. And Ra often says about the logic circuitry that it has no energy unless it is connected to one of these two gates, and the process of the experimental logic process needs the energy and covets this energy. So now we are connected. For example, all those people who have the 18th gate, they are going to celebrate this week. And of course, the 9th gate and everything else in this configuration that touches you will light up the whole thing. But this is just beginning. Let's look at another provoking pressure that is also about analysis, assessment, and reevaluation. Yes, the gate of provocation, obstruction. The value of obstruction in provoking analysis, assessment, and reevaluation. So again, if that connects directly to one of our gates, the whole route is going to light up with all these pressures. And we also have Pluto. We never forget this ambition, Marian Maiden. So this is very intense. And see what happens next. Tomorrow, the channel of openness, a design of a social being, will be connected in the transits for 10 hours. And this is interesting because if this somehow will be connected in your design to the roots, so all these root pressures will have an outlet through the only social individual channel. And this is a manifesting channel, an emotional, moody manifesting channel. So please beware, and everybody will be affected by this, because this is a global conditioning pattern. So I suggest, why don't you just stay at home? Okay, and the next thing that happens, and this is really amazing, on the 28th, the Saturn eventually, thanks God, leaves the 5th gate, and in his journey backwards, it's in his retrograde now, comes back to the 9th gate, and this is amazing, the gate of focus, the format energy of the logic is going to be the whole channel, the whole fuel, this whole pressure, the channel of concentration, a design of determination, and yes, and Venus in the 39th gate, and Pluto in the 54th gate, and of course the two logical gates in the Sun, Earth, and Uranus in the sacral. This whole thing is going to pump us into provocation, concentration, the fuel to correct, and ambition, and ending things. Really interesting. Watch out. This is going to be very interesting. And all these people that I know, so many of them with the 18th gate, including me, I'm just lucky to have it in the 6th line, but all the others are really interesting. So this will be these will be times with a lot of criticism, a lot of energy for this criticism, and a lot of heads will be chopped off. And I wonder, maybe it will be worth to listen to the news. So yes, the cross of planning is shattering, and everything is in chaos, and there's a lot of doubt and confusion and a lot of projection everywhere, and we can get lost because the program is intensive. But if we are locked in our strategy and in our inner authority, and we protect our aura by sleeping in our own aura alone, then we can watch And I think that we are blessed because this is a very interesting time to live in. I mean, this changing of the shift of the background frequency is so interesting. And I live in a place, I live in Israel for those who don't know, and I live in a place that this shift is so intensive. We are here in the war of tribes. I mean, the war of whose God's better. And this is really, as I see it, is the tribe is the channel of community and everything that it represents. It really fights for its life because it is breaking down, and not only in our private lives with the relationship and the marriage that breaks down, but here the war of the tribes can be felt very strongly. And it is a place to live in the world that it's very, very difficult to be a witness and not take sides, because our children are fighting and dying, and people are dying here. It doesn't matter from which side, people are dying here almost every day. And it takes a lot of, I think, knowledge here. Yes, knowledge, because if we're not educated, if we don't have this this knowledge that tells us that this is not personal and we can't prevent this and there is no solution, and taking sides is not the thing. That's the only thing I know that helps me to stay and look at it and know that it's not personal. And it's very, very difficult, very challenging when sometimes where we are in a very dangerous situation, or my son when he's in a dangerous situation in the army, I feel that I can really feel the personality wants to grab a side, want to be sure that this would lead to some solution, or this would lead to another solution. But I know that this will not happen. And it's just the end. It's the end of the cross of planning, and it has to come with a lot of pain, because this is the way humanity knows to do stuff. The cross of planning is full of pain, full of huge wars and territory problems and a lot of things, and that's what we have, and it's coming to an end. And I don't think that the next years are going to be easier. I think they're going to be harder. But again, locked in strategy, inner authority, and sleeping alone just protects us as individuals. We can't save humanity, even though it was just love of humanity, and all this was in the transits, and this is a strong feeling. And yes, some of the corrections that are being made in the name of the love of humanity, but true love of humanity is accepting that most of humanity is conditioned and will stay conditioned, and this is just a movie. And sometimes this movie touches our life very, very close. And in Israel, it is like that. The feeling is like that. Both sides, it doesn't matter which side suffers. There's a lot of loss and pain, but still this is part of the program, and there's nothing to be done. So, just look at it, look at the movie, watch the movie, and, next week, maybe we'll be lighter. See you.